2. Risa. Risa paces backstage, waiting for her turn at the piano. She knows she could play the sonata in her sleep. In fact, she often does. So many nights she would wake up to feel her fingers playing on the bedsheets. She would hear the music in her head, but it would still play for a few moments after she woke, but then it would just dissolve into the night, leaving nothing but her fingers drumming against the covers. She has to know the sonata. It has to come to her as easily as breathing. It's not a competition, Mr. Durkin would always tell her. There are no winners or losers at a recital. Well, Risa knows better. Risa Ward, the stage manager calls. You're up. She rolls her shoulders and adjusts the barrette in her long brown hair. Then she takes the stage. The applause from the audience is polite, nothing more. Some of it is genuine, for she does have friends out there, and teachers who want her to succeed, but mostly it's the obligatory applause from an audience wanting to be impressed. Mr. Durkin is out there. He's been her piano teacher for 5 years. He's the closest thing that Risa has to a parent. She's lucky. Not every kid at Ohio State Home 23 has a teacher that they can say that about. Most Tahoe kids hate their teachers because they see them as jailers. Ignoring the stiff formality of her recital dress, she sits at the piano. It's a concert Steinway, as ebony as the night, and just as long. Focus. She keeps her eyes on the piano, forcing the audience to recede into darkness. The audience doesn't matter. All that matters is the piano, and the glorious sound she's about to charm out of it. She holds her fingers above the keys for a moment, then begins with perfect passion. Soon her fingers dance across the keys, making the flawless seem facile. She makes the instrument sing, and then her left ring finger stumbles on B-flat, slipping awkwardly into B natural. A mistake. It happened so quickly it could go unnoticed, but not by Risa. She holds the wrong note in her mind, and even as she continues playing, the note reverberates within her, growing into a crescendo, stealing her focus until she slips again into a second wrong note, and then 2 minutes later blows an entire chord. Tears begin to fill her eyes, and she can't see clearly. You don't need to see, she tells herself. You just need to feel the music. She can still pull out of this nosedive, can't she? Her mistakes, which sound so awful to her, are barely noticeable. Relax, Mr. Durkin would tell her. No one is judging you. Perhaps he truly believes that, but then he can afford to believe it. He's not 15, and he's never been awarded the state. 5 mistakes. Each one of them small, subtle, but they are mistakes nonetheless. It would have been fine if any of the other kids' performances were less than stellar, but the others shined. Still, Mr. Durkin is all smiles when he greets Risa at the reception. You were marvelous, he says. I'm so proud of you. I stunk up the stage. Nonsense. You chose one of Chopin's most difficult pieces. Professionals can't get through it without an error or two. You did it justice. I need to do more than justice. Mr. Durkin sighs, but he doesn't deny it. You're coming along nicely. I look forward to the day I see those hands playing in Carnegie Hall. His smile is warm and genuine, as are all the congratulations from all the other girls in her dorm. It is enough warmth to ease her to sleep that night, and to give her hope that maybe, just maybe, she's making too much of it and being unnecessarily hard on herself. She falls asleep, thinking of what she might choose to play next. 1 week later, she's called into the headmaster's office. There are 3 people there, a tribunal, thinks Risa. 3 adults sitting in judgment, like 3 monkeys, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. Please sit down, Risa, says the headmaster. She tries to sit gracefully, but her knees, now unsteady, won't allow it. She slaps awkwardly down into the chair, far too blush for an inquisition. Risa doesn't know the other 2 people sitting beside the headmaster, but they both look very official. Their demeanor is relaxed, as if this business is usual for them. The woman to the headmaster's left identifies herself as a social worker, assigned to Risa's case. Until that moment, Risa didn't know she had a case. She says her name, Miss something or other. The name never even makes it into Risa's memory. She flips through the pages of Risa's 15 years of life as casually as if she were reading a newspaper. Let's see. You've been awarded the state from birth. It looks like your behavior has been exemplary. Your grades have been respectable, but not excellent. Then the social worker looks up and smiles. I saw your performance the other night. You were very good. Good, thinks Risa, but not excellent. Miss something or other leafs through another folder for a few seconds more, but Risa can tell she's not really looking. Whatever was going on here was decided long before Risa walked through the door. Why am I here? Miss Something or Other closes her folder and glances at the headmaster. The man beside him is in an expensive suit. The suit nods, and the social worker turns back to Risa with a warm smile. We feel you've reached your potential here, she says. Headmaster Thomas and Mr. Paulson are in agreement with me. Risa glances at the suit. Who's Mr. Paulson? The suit clears his throat and says, almost as an apology, I'm the school's legal counsel. A lawyer? What's a lawyer doing here? Just procedure, Headmaster Thomas tells her. He puts a finger to his collar, stretching it as if his tie has suddenly become a noose. It's school policy to have a lawyer present at these kinds of proceedings. And what kind of proceeding is this? The three look at one another, none of them wanting to take the lead. Finally, Miss Something or Other speaks up. You must know that space in state homes are at a premium these days, and with budget cuts every Staho is impacted, including ours. Risa holds cold eye contact with her. Wards of the state are guaranteed a place in state homes. Very true, but the guarantee only holds until 13. Then all of a sudden, everyone has something to say. The money stretches so far, says the headmaster. Educational standards could be compromised, said the lawyer. We only want what's best for you and all the other children here, says the social worker. And back and forth it goes, like a three-way ping-pong match. Risa says nothing, but only listens. You're a good musician, but... As I said, you've reached your potential. As far as you can go. Perhaps if you'd chosen a less competitive course of study? Well, that's water under the bridge. Our hands are tied. There are unwanted babies born every day, and not all of them get stork. We're obligated to take the ones that don't. We have to make room for every new ward. Which means cutting 5% of our teenage population. You do understand, don't you? Risa can't listen anymore, so she shuts them up by saying what they don't have the courage to say themselves. I'm being unwound. Silence. It's more of an answer than if they had said yes. The social worker reaches over to take Risa's hand, but Risa pulls it back before she can. It's all right to be frightened. Change is always scary. Change? Yells Risa. What do you mean change? Dying is a little bit more than a change. The headmaster's tie turns into a noose again, preventing blood from getting to his face. The lawyer opens his briefcase. Please, Miss Ward, it's not dying. I'm sure everyone here would be more comfortable if you did not suggest something so blatantly inflammatory. The fact is, 100% of you will be still alive, just in a divided state. Then he reaches into his briefcase and hands her a colorful pamphlet. This is a brochure from Twin Lakes Harvest Camp. It's a fine place, the headmaster says. It's our facility of choice for all our unwinds. In fact, my own nephew was unwound there. Goody for him. Change, repeated the social worker. That's all. The way ice becomes water. The way water becomes clouds. You will live, Risa, only in a different form. But Risa's not hearing anymore. Panic has already started to set in. I don't have to be a musician. I can do something else. Headmaster Thomas shakes his head sadly. Too late for that, I'm afraid. No, it's not. I could work out. I could become a boaf. The military always need more boafs. The lawyer sighs in exasperation and looks at his watch. The social worker leans forward. Risa, please, she says. It takes a certain body type for a girl to be an army boaf, and many years of physical training. Don't I have a choice in this? But when she looks behind her, the answer is clear. There are two guards waiting to make sure she has no choice at all. And as they lead the way, she thinks of Mr. Durkin. With a bitter laugh, Risa realizes that he may get his wish after all. Someday he may see her hands playing in Carnegie Hall. Unfortunately, the rest of Risa won't be there. She's not allowed to return to her dormitory. She will take nothing with her because there's nothing she needs. That's the way it is with unwinds. Just a handful of her friends sneak down to the school's transportation center, stealing quick hugs and shedding quick tears, all while looking over their shoulders, afraid of getting caught. Mr. Durkin does not come. This hurts Risa most of all. She sleeps in a guest room, in the home's welcome center. Then, at dawn, she's loaded into a bus full of kids being transferred from the huge Staho complex to other places. She recognizes some faces, but she doesn't actually know any of her travel companions. Across the aisle, a fairly nice-looking boy, in military booth by the look of him, gives her a smile. "Hey," he says, flirting in a way only booths can. "Hey," Risa says back. "I'm being transferred to the State Naval Academy," he says. "How about you?" "Oh, me? Oh, me?" she says quickly, sifting through the air for something impressive. "Miss Marple's Academy for the Highly Gifted." "She's lying," says a scrawny pale boy sitting on Risa's other side. "She's an Unwind." Suddenly the booth looks away, as if unwinding is contagious. "Oh," he says. "Well, that's too bad. See ya." Then he leaves to sit with some other booths in the back. "Thanks," snaps Risa at the scrawny kid. The kid just shrugs. "It doesn't matter anyway." Then he holds out a hand to shake. "I'm Samson," he said, "and I'm an Unwind too." Risa almost laughs. Samson, such a strong name for such a mealy boy. She doesn't take his hand, still annoyed at having been exposed to the handsome booth. "So what did you do to get yourself unwound?" Risa asks. "It's not what I did. It's what I didn't do." "What didn't you do?" "Anything," Samson answers. It makes sense to Risa. Not doing anything is an easy path to unwinding. "It was never going to amount to much anyway," Samson says. "But now, statistically speaking, there's a better chance that some part of me will go on to greatness somewhere in the world. I'd rather be partially great than entirely useless." The fact that this twisted logic almost makes sense just makes her angrier. "I hope you enjoy your harvest camp, Samson." And then she leaves to find another seat. "Please sit down," calls the chaperone from the front, but no one's listening to her. The bus is full of kids, moving seat to seat, trying to find kindred spirits or trying to escape them. Risa finds herself a window seat, with no one beside her. This bus trip will be only the first leg of her journey. They explained to her, to all the kids after they boarded the bus, that they would be first taken to a central transport center, where kids from dozens of state homes would be sorted into buses that would take them wherever they were going. Risa's next bus would be full of Samsons. Wonderful. She had already considered the possibility of sneaking onto another bus, but the barcodes on their waistbands made that an impossibility. It's all perfectly organized and foolproof. Still, Risa occupies her mind with scenarios that could lead to escape. That's when she sees a commotion out of her window. Squad cars are on the other side of the freeway, and as a bus changes lanes, she sees two figures in the road, two kids racing across traffic. One kid has the other in a chokehold. It's practically dragging him, and both of them have run right in front of the bus. Risa's head is slammed against the window as the bus suddenly pulls to the right to avoid the two kids. The bus fills with gasps and screams, and Risa is thrown forward, down the aisle as the bus comes to a sudden jarring stop. Her hip is hurt, but not bad. It's just a bruise. She gets up quickly, taking stock of the situation. The bus leans sideways. It's off the road in a ditch. The windshield is smashed and it's covered with blood. Lots of it. Kids all around her check themselves. Like her, no one is badly hurt, although some are making more of a fuss than others. The chaperone tries to calm everyone down. One girl is hysterical. And in the chaos, Risa has a sudden realization. This is not part of the plan. The system might have a million contingencies for state wards trying to screw with things, but they don't have a plan of action for dealing with an accident. For a few seconds, all bets are off. Risa fixes her eyes on the front door of the bus, holds her breath, and races towards that door. 3. Lev. The party is big. The party is expensive. The party has been planned for years. There are at least 200 people in the country club's grand ballroom. Lev got to pick the band. He got to choose the food. He even got to select the color of the linens, red and white, for the Cincinnati Reds, and his name, Levi Jedediah Calder, is stamped in gold on silk napkins for people to take home as remembrance. This party is all for him. It's all about him, and he's determined to have the best time of his life. The adults at the party are relatives, friends of the family, his parents' business associates, but at least 80 of the guests are Lev's friends. They're friends from school, from church, and from various sports teams he's been on. Some of his friends had felt funny about coming, of course. "I don't know, Lev," they had said. "It's kind of weird. I mean, what kind of present am I supposed to bring?" "You don't have to bring anything," Lev had told them. "There are no presents at a tithing party. Just come and have a good time. I know I will." And he does. He asks every girl he invited to dance, and not a single one of them turns him down. He even had people lift him up in a chair and dance with him around the room because he'd seen them do that at a Jewish friend's bat mitzvah. True, this is a very different kind of party, but it's also a celebration of him turning 13, so he deserves to get lifted up in a chair too, doesn't he? Lev finds that dinner is served far too soon. He looks at his watch to see that 2 hours have already gone by. How could it have gone by so quickly? Soon people grab the microphone and, holding up glasses of champagne, they start making toasts to Lev. His parents make a toast. His grandmother makes a toast. His uncle he doesn't even know makes a toast. To Lev, "It's been a joy to watch you grow into the fine young man you are. I know in my heart that you will do great things for everyone you touch in this world." It feels wonderful and weird for so many people to say so many kind things about him. It's all too much, but in some strange way, it's not enough. There's got to be more food, more dancing, more time. They're already bringing out the birthday cake. Everyone knows the party ends once the cake is served. Why are they bringing out the cake? Can it really be 3 hours into the party? Then comes one more toast. It's the toast that almost ruins the evening. One of Lev's many brothers and sisters, Marcus, has been the quietest all evening. It's unlike him. Lev should have known something was going to happen. Lev, at 13, is the youngest of 10. Marcus, at 28, is the oldest. He flew halfway across the country to be here at Lev's tithing party, and yet he's barely danced or spoken or even been a part of the festivities. He's also drunk. Lev has never seen Marcus drunk. It happens after the formal toasts are given, when Lev's cake is cut and distributed. It doesn't start as a toast, it starts as a moment between brothers. "Congrats, little bro," Marcus says, giving him a powerful hug. Lev can smell the alcohol on Marcus's breath. "Today, you're a man." Sort of. Their father, sitting at the head of the table just a few feet away, lets out a nervous chuckle. "Thanks. Sort of," Lev responds. He glances at his parents. His father waits to see what's coming next. His mother's pinched expression makes Lev feel tense. Marcus stares at Lev with a smile that doesn't hold any emotion a smile usually comes with. "What do you think of all this?" he asks Lev. "It's great?" "Of course it is. All those people here for you. It's an amazing night. Amazing." "Yeah," says Lev. He's not sure where this is going, but he knows it's going somewhere. "I'm having the time of my life." "Damn right! The time of your life. You gotta wrap up all those events, all those parties into one? Birthdays, wedding, funeral?" Then he turns to their father. "Very efficient, right, Dad?" "That's enough," their father says quietly, but it only makes Marcus get louder. "What? Am I not allowed to talk about it? Oh, that's right. This is a celebration. I almost forgot." Lev wants Marcus to stop, but at the same time he doesn't. Mom stands up and says in a voice more forceful than Dad's, "Marcus, sit down. You're embarrassing yourself." Now everyone in the banquet hall stopped whatever they were doing and turned to the unfolding family drama. Marcus, seeing he's got the room's attention, picks up someone's half-empty champagne and holds it high. "Here's to my brother Lev," Marcus says, "and to our parents, who have always done the right thing, the appropriate thing, who have always given generously to charity, who always have given 10% of everything to our church. Hey, Mom, we're lucky you have 10 kids instead of 5, or we'd end up having to cut Lev off at the waist." Gasps from those assembled, people shaking their heads, such disappointing behavior from their eldest son. Now Dad comes up and grabs Marcus's arm tightly. "You're done," Dad says. "Sit down." Marcus shakes Dad's arm off. "Oh no, I'll do better than sit down." Now there are tears in Marcus's eyes. as he turns to Lev. "I love you, bro. And I know this is your special day, but I can't be a part of this." He hurls the champagne glass against the wall where it shatters, spraying fragments of crystal all over the buffet table. Then he turns and storms out with such steady confidence in his stride that Lev realizes he wasn't drunk at all. Lev's father signals the band, and they kick into a dance number, even before Marcus is gone from the huge room. People begin to fill the void of the dance floor, doing their best to make the awkward moment go away. "Sorry about that, Lev," his father tells him. Why don't you go dance?" But Lev finds he doesn't want to dance anymore. The desire he had to be the center of attention left along with his brother. "I'd like to talk to Pastor Dan, if that's all right." "Of course it is." Pastor Dan has been a family friend since before Lev was born. He has always been much easier to talk to than his parents about any subject that required patience and wisdom. The banquet hall is too loud, too crowded, so they go out to the patio overlooking the country club's golf course. "Are you getting scared?" Pastor Dan asks. He's always able to figure out what's on Lev's mind. Lev nods. "I thought I was ready. I thought I was prepared." "It's natural. Don't worry about it." But it doesn't ease the disappointment Lev feels in himself. He's had his entire life to prepare for this. It should have been enough. He knew he was a tithe from the time he was little. "You're special," his parents had always told him. "Your life will be to serve God and mankind." He doesn't remember how old he was when he found out exactly what that meant for him. "Have kids in school been giving you a hard time?" "No more than usual," Lev tells him. It's all true. All his life, he had to deal with kids who resented him because grown-ups treated him as if he were special. There were kids who were kind and kids who were cruel. That was his life. It didn't bother him, though, when kids called him stuff like dirty Unwind, as if he was like those other kids whose parents signed Unwind orders to get rid of them. That couldn't be any further from the truth for Lev. He is his family's pride and joy. Straight A's in school and MVP in the Little League. Just because he's to be unwound does not mean he's an Unwind. There are, of course, a few tithes at his school, but they're all from different religions, so Lev never felt a real sense of camaraderie with them. A huge turnout at tonight's party testifies to how many friends Lev has, but they're not like him. Their lives will be lived in an undivided state. Their bodies and their futures are their own. Lev always felt closer to God than to his other friends, or even his family. He wonders if being chosen always leaves a person so isolated, or is there just something wrong with them? "I've been having a lot of thoughts. Wrong thoughts," Lev tells Pastor Dan. "There are no wrong thoughts, only thoughts that need to be worked through and overcome." "Well, I've just been feeling jealous of my brothers and sisters. I keep thinking of how the baseball team is going to miss me. I know it's an honor and a blessing to be a tithe, but I can't stop wondering why it has to be me." Pastor Dan, who is always so good at looking people in the eye, now looks away. "It was decided before you were born. It is nothing you did or didn't do." "The thing is, I know tons of people with big families." Pastor Dan nodded. "Yes, it's very common these days. But a lot of those people don't tithe at all, even families in our church, and nobody blames them. There are also people who tithe their first, second, or third child. Every family must make the decision for itself. Your parents waited a long time before making the decision to have you." Lev reluctantly nods, knowing this is true. He was a true tithe, with 5 natural siblings plus 1 adopted and 3 that arrived by stork. Lev was exactly 1/10. His parents had always told him that made him all the more special. "I'll tell you something, Lev," Pastor Dan said, finally meeting his eye. Like Marcus, his eyes are moist, just one step short of tears. "I've watched all your brothers and sister grow, and although I don't like playing favorites, I think you are the finest of them all in so many ways. I wouldn't even know where to start. That's what God asked for, you know. Not the first fruits, but the best fruits." "Thank you, sir." Pastor Dan always knows what to say to make Lev feel better. "I'm ready for this." and saying it makes him realize that, in spite of his fears and misgivings, he truly is ready. This is everything he's lived for. Even so, his tithing party ends much too soon. In the morning, the Calders have to eat breakfast in the dining room with all the leaves on the table. All of Lev's brother and sisters are there. Only a few of them still live at home, but today they've all come over for breakfast. All of them, that is, except Marcus. Yet for such a large family, it's unusually quiet, and the clatter of silverware and china makes the lack of conversation even more conspicuous. Lev, dressed in his silk tithing whites, eats carefully so as not to leave any stains on his clothes. After breakfast, the goodbyes are long, full of hugs and kisses. It's the worst part. Lev wishes that they would all just let him go and get the goodbyes over with. Pastor Dan arrives. He's come at Lev's request. Once he's there, the goodbyes move more quickly. No one wants to waste the pastor's valuable time. Lev is the first one in his dad's Cadillac, and although he tries not to look back as his father starts the car and drives away, he can't help it. He watches as his home disappears behind them. We'll never see that home again, he thinks, and he pushes that thought out of his mind. It's unproductive, unhelpful, selfish. He looks at Pastor Dan, who sits beside him in the back seat, watching him, and the pastor smiles. "It's all right, Lev," he says. Just hearing him say it makes it so. "How far is the harvest camp?" Lev asks, to whoever cares to answer. "It's about an hour from here," his mom says. "And will they do it right away?" His parents look to each other. "I'm sure there'll be an orientation," says his father. In short, that answer makes it clear to Lev that they don't know any more about this than he does. As they pull into the interstate, Lev rolls down the window to feel the wind on his face, and he closes his eyes to prepare himself. This is what I was born for. It's what I've lived my life for. I'm chosen, I'm blessed, and I'm happy. Suddenly, his father slams on the brakes. With his eyes closed, Lev doesn't see the reason for their unexpected stop. He just feels the sharp deceleration of the Cadillac and pull of the seatbelt on his shoulder. He opens his eyes to see that they have stopped on the interstate. Police lights flash, and was that a gunshot he just heard? What's going on? Then, just outside his window is another kid, a few years older than him. He looks scared. He looks dangerous. Lev reaches over to quickly pull up his window, but before he can, the kid reaches in, pulls up the lock of the door, and tugs the door open. Lev is frozen. He doesn't know what to do. "Mom! Dad!" he calls. The boy with murder in his eyes tugs on Lev's white silk shirt, trying to pull him out of the car, but the seatbelt holds him tight. "What are you doing? Leave me alone!" Lev's mom screams for his father to do something, but he's still fumbling with his own seatbelt. The maniac reaches over and in one swift motion unclips Lev's seatbelt. Pastor Dan grabs at the intruder, who responds with a quick, powerful punch, a jab right at the pastor's jaw. The shock of seeing such violence distracts Lev at a crucial moment. The maniac tugs him again, and this time Lev falls out of the car, hitting his head on the pavement. When he looks up, he sees his father finally getting out of the car, but the crazy kid swings the door hard against him, sending him flying. "Dad!" His father lands in the path of an oncoming car. The car swerves and, thank God, it misses him, but cuts off another car, hitting it. That car spins out of control, and sounds of crashes fill the air. Lev is pulled to his feet again by the kid, who grabs Lev's arm and drags him off. Lev is small for his age, and this kid is a couple years older, and much bigger. Lev can't break free. "Stop!" yells Lev. "You can have whatever you want. Take my wallet," he says, even though he doesn't have a wallet. "Take the car. Just don't hurt anyone." The kid considers the car, but only for an instant. Bullets now fly past them. On the southbound roadway are policemen who have finally stopped traffic on their side of the interstate and have made it to the median dividing the north and southbound lanes. The closest officer fires again. A tranq bullet hits the Cadillac and splatters. The crazy kid now puts Lev into a chokehold, holding Lev between himself and the officers. Lev realizes that he doesn't want a car or money. He wants a hostage. "Stop struggling! I've got a gun!" And Lev feels the kid poke him in the side. Lev knows it's not a gun. He knows it's just the kid's finger, but this is clearly an unstable individual, and he doesn't want to set him off. "I'm worthless as a human shield," Lev says, trying to reason with him. "Those are tranq bullets they're shooting, which means that the cops don't care if they hit me. They'll just knock me out. Better you than me." Bullets fly past them as they wind around, swerving traffic. "Please, you don't understand. You can't take me now. I'm being tied. I'll miss my harvest. You'll ruin everything." And finally, a hint of humanity comes into the manic's eyes. "You're an Unwind?" Now, there are a million more things to be furious about, but Lev finds himself incensed by what he has just been called. "I'm a tithe!" A blaring horn, and Lev turns to see a bus bearing down on them. Before either of them has a chance to scream, the bus careens off the road to avoid them and smashes head-on against a fat trunk of a huge oak tree, stopping the bus cold. There's blood all over the smashed windshield. It's the bus driver's blood. He hangs halfway through, and he's not moving. "Oh, crap!" says the manic, a creepy whine in his voice. A girl just stepped out of the bus. The crazy kid looks at her, and Lev realizes now, while he's distracted, is the last chance he's going to have to get away. This kid is an animal. The only way to deal with an animal is for Lev himself to become one. So Lev grabs the arm that's locked around his neck and sinks his teeth in with the full force of his jaws until he tastes blood. The kid screams, lets go, and Lev bolts away, racing towards his father's car. As he nears it, a back door opens. It's Pastor Dan, opening the door to receive him, yet the expression on the man's face is anything but happy. With his face already swelling for the crazy kid's brutal punch, Pastor Dan says in a hiss and strange warble to his voice, "Run, Lev!" Lev wasn't expecting this. "What?" "Run! As fast and as far as you can! Run!" Lev stands there, impotent, unable to move, unable to process this. Why is Pastor Dan telling him to run? Then comes a sudden pain in his shoulder, and everything starts spinning around and down a drain into darkness.